Welcome back to the 25 Days of Christmas. We're getting really close. I hope you've got your Christmas shopping done. Today's story is, Are You Curious? Anne could not decide on what type of Christmas tree she wanted, but her daughter Alice knew exactly which tree would be best. Alice wanted a real tree to be planted in the front yard after Christmas. It was getting close to the time to begin their search for the perfect tree, and Alice was excited. There was so much to do around this giving season and many presents to be made and wrapped. Alice went to the closet and reached for her coat, hat, and gloves. Her mother was already waiting for her on the porch, and as she was putting a wreath on the door that had displayed angels with wands, Alice had helped make the wreath with a great deal of hard work and patience. She wished everyone who entered the door might feel a bit curious upon seeing the angels and their wands. Perhaps, Alice thought, one of the visitors might be granted their season's wish. It is quite true Alice had a very vivid imagination, but she also had a great love for others even at her young age of 5 years old. The door closed behind Alice, and she and her mother walked from the sidewalk to the garage. The car was warm from being enclosed, and the first flakes of snow had not fallen on it yet. Alice and her mother fastened their seatbelts, backed up the car, and entered the main street. Their search would now begin. There were several tree stands of beautifully displayed fresh, bright green trees, but Alice knew that they would have to drive almost to the state border to find one for their special needs. She and her mother looked down rows of trees which seemed healthy and strong. Then Alice stopped, for she had selected the very one meant just for them. As she walked closer, what did she see? But two trees, almost like a mother and a daughter. Alice thought it was just like the two of us, big and little. Mother listened while the man who owned the Christmas trees explained to them exactly how to preserve both trees and to plant them later. Then they drove back home with their cherished trees just peeking out of the trunk. This will be the best Christmas ever thought Alice, with two trees and one exactly her size. She would make all the ornaments herself out of a special paper and trinkets she had saved in her bottom dresser drawer. Alice even made special tree cookies with the help of her mother. Each tree looked like a little elf. The time came for the guests to arrive, and Alice and her mother greeted them at the front door, dressed like paper doll figures. Alice looked like a fairy princess, just like the one out of the books, and Mother looked like a beautiful queen. They made out their costumes out of crepe paper, so that they had to be very careful in the way they walked around the house. Their outfits were a big success, as the guests made their costumes as well. The evening went by so quickly, and laughter and smiles on faces of all were soon gone, and the house was quiet and still. It was a wonderful party, thought Alice, as she tucked into bed that night. When morning arrived, Alice walked out the front door to see the new fallen snow. To her surprise, all the angels with their wands were missing from the wreath, and in their place were pink little hearts with a message that read, Love, friendship, caring, understanding, kindness, and happiness. You see, 6 guests were not looking when those angels went home with them that night. They must have jumped onto their coats as they left for their homes. But Alice and her mother smiled and gave each other a big hug. They did not speak, but are you curious? Merry Christmas, guests, and look for those angels. Their wands are filled with surprises. Carol Ann Garretson. Keep coming back. The 25 Days of Christmas just keep on coming.